Hey there, rock and roll podcast fans. This is Mike Hoban. Welcome to Rat Tales, the podcast that brings you the music and stories of the Boston rock scene that grew out of the mid-'70s at the Rat and some of the other hellhole joints, each with their own sick charm. And that was Are You a Boy or Are You a Girl from the Barbarians, released in 1965, featuring our guest Victor Moulton, who was the Barbarians drummer. Thanks for being here on the Boston Beat Show today. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Provincetown. I'm from Provincetown, the end of the Cape. There's only a handful of us people that are actually from Provincetown. I'm one of them. Grew up on the sand dunes and beaches of Cape, P-Town.
What was P-Town like then? I'm sure it wasn't like it is today.
No, but it was wonderful. It was just tremendous with the sand dunes and the beaches and the artists and the type of light in Provincetown is unique to artists, and they know about this. Most people don't. There's a certain type of light that the town carries with sand dunes and the front bay and the reflections that is unique to P-Town. And that's one of the reasons so many artists flock to Provincetown. And that light is nice, it's comforting. When I go there, I feel that light. It's home,
So what were your earliest musical influences?
When I was about 3 years old, family would play guitars and sing, and even had the harmonicas with a thing around there to hold them in there. And 2 or 3 of them would play, and I'd watch this, it would be amazing to me. Because I was a guitarist first. I was a guitarist at a very young age. And by the time I was 14, I was a good little guitar player. But when I was 14, I lost my hand in an explosion. So I got this, and I now became a drummer with this hook. So I didn't want to play the guitar, half-assed, So that was my inspiration back there. But I always did want to become a drummer.
The Barbarians were your first band?
Yes.
When did the band first get together?
1964 in Provincetown. I was 19 years old.
Do you remember the first gig?
Yes, very much so.
Where was it?
The Rumpus Room, right in Commercial Street in Provincetown in the middle of the summer. Total chaos.
How long were you together before you got your first gig?
3 days.
Really?
Yeah.
When did the band sign the record contract?
Well, first, at the end of that night at the Rumpus Room, my cousin was a bartender there. It used to be a club years before that, a jazz club, musicians, very busy place, nice place. People, a lot of, the tourists were in town. And then it lost business, and it was just nothing really. It looked like, it had a lot of character though. It looked like a scene out of a Bogart movie. Nets on the wall, one long bar on this side. Nobody went there anymore. It was basically abandoned. Hi, John. And when we went in there, like I say, it was just a row of seats maybe for the fishermen at the bar. When we went in there, all of a sudden, at the end of the first night, we were immediately famous in the town. It was amazing. They couldn't fit the people in there. They blocked the street. It was amazing. So we didn't know what to do. We went to play for nothing. They said, "Hey, you guys," my cousin said, "Hey, I talked to the owner. You guys can come and play in the corner over if you want, The guys, they don't mind to buy, Yeah, to play?" I said, "Oh, to play my drums in front of girls and show off? Oh boy, that would be my dream, to go and play in front of people, show off, and then retire. That would be my dream. Play in front of people? Wow." Money wasn't even in our minds. So we went down there and set up our stuff, and bang, it exploded for us right there. So a lot of people in the music industry, because it's a resort town, a wild town, every type of person you can think of there. And the record people came to us. We didn't know who to pick. We didn't know Rhino Records from Cucamonga. We didn't know Capitol Records from anything. We didn't know anything. So we decided to get some kind of managing agency out of New York, and they picked the record companies for us. And so it wasn't long right after that. We only started around the 4th of July. at the end of the summer, we signed up with our managing agency, Joy Records in New York. And when we were less than 4 months together, we were in the Tammy Show. And then, but we thought our song was going to hit that we played in the Tammy Show, and it didn't. We were disappointed. So we switched labels to Laurie Records. It was a much better, bigger label, and we hit right away with Boy Girl.
Who decided on the band wearing sandals?
We lived in Provincetown. I wear sandals all the time. So, we, you know, when we went all the way, we made sure we all wear sandals, you know.
Wow.
We call ourselves the Barbarians, so hey, why not?
Right. Yeah.
We didn't always wear them, but
What was it like when you heard the record on the first time on the radio?
it was amazing. It was amazing because it was Boy Girl.
How do you feel about the Tammy Show being remastered and re-released?
No, I did a lot of ads in the what do you call it? The Globe and stuff in those papers, and Boston papers, and what's that other big paper?
The Herald?
No, the
Phoenix?
national paper.
Oh, National? Oh, USA Today?
Yeah, yeah, we did ads in there, and so I helped promote it as it was coming out. You know, they were very nice people. You know, Dick Clark Productions is very nice and very big, and of course Shout Factory are the ones that remastered it. They did, you know, got it all ready for the release of the high definition DVD, and left it in black and white, which is a great idea. And so yeah, it was exciting when it came out again, because that film is in the Library of Congress, because it was an era changing of music, you know, as you well know. And so that was pretty nice. I thought that was kind of nice in the Library of Congress. And then about a year and a half later, Phil Spector came out with the TNT show. And we thought that was going to go much bigger. It was in color. It had great acts. Ray Charles was in it. But it didn't. It bombed. I don't know why. It didn't have the excitement the Tammy Show had in it. There was something about the Tammy Show, not because I was in it, that was very exciting. There was something about it, the way it was, and the way it was so spontaneous. Nothing like that had ever been done, and nothing since then. That's another reason it's in the Library of Congress. I'm proud of that, too.
It must have been amazing for a band so young to work with and meet all the other bands who were on that show.
Well, I wasn't the youngest one. Yeah, there was some of the other people in the show, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, the Stones were kids, too, you know.
Right.
They were great then.
Mhm.
Anybody that's great, they always were great. They didn't become great. You're born great or you're not, okay? You don't turn an apple into an orange. I believe that firmly. You can shine up. You can shine it up pretty good, you know. But they were great then.
Yeah, one of the best performances was by James Brown.
James Brown was like amazing, especially in those days. Amazing. You know, and the story goes that, a false story goes that he upstaged the Rolling Stones. He wanted to go last, and they went last. And the producers and directors were very smart to put the Stones on last. By the way, when the Stones went on, they didn't have to defend their position. They were the Stones when they went on. James Brown did not upstage them in any way. They were the Stones, and they were the tops in the stars. Simple as that. But let me tell you about James Brown. None of it. Am I taking too much time? Oh, none of us. We were going out to California to make a movie. Oh, we're going to make a movie. Oh boy, we're big now. You know, we don't even know how to tie a shoestring to this yet. But we had something they liked, so we said, "Who's in this movie?" Oh, the Supremes. Oh, I can't wait to work with them. Who else? Oh, Marvin Gaye. Oh, right. How about the Stones? Great. You know, who else? James Brown. We all said, "Who's James Brown?" Some guy said, "Some black guy, some black singer." Oh, I don't know. We found out who he was, and he was amazing. And me and all the other groups in the Stones were like blown away by it. But remember, if it was who had the better band, basically, of course they would have blown everybody away. But they weren't the Stones.
Right.
And those kids, they wanted the Stones and guys like us, you know, not James Brown, you know. Don't get me wrong, he went over big, and that was the first time he played to a white audience.
Oh, is it?
First time he ever played to a white audience, yes. And he was amazing. When I saw him play, I went, oh my God, you know, jeez, you know. And his musicians and his band and the drummers. You know, his drummers have a certain type of funk beat that they invented. A few years ago, one of his first drummers invented that type of funk beat. No one had that before that. Then people heard it when Papa's Got a Brand New Bag and all these songs came out. People weren't using that kind of beat in any type of music. They invented that, and his first drum invented it, and the others improved on it. They took it from parade marching drums. There's a whole story on that.
Wow, I'm sure.
Quite amazing.
Yeah.
Quite amazing. Yeah.
So, Are You a Boy or Are You a Girl comes out in 1965.
Yes.
That was a huge hit around here.
Shot on both Billboard and the other one. Yeah.
Who wrote Are You a Boy and Are You a Girl, and how did that come about?
Okay, it wasn't our idea. It was every company then had songwriters, and they'd sign a couple to each group that they signed up if it was needed, if it was a group, because the group thing was new then, okay? And but they all, Elvis had songwriters. Everybody had songwriters, and Doug Morris was a songwriter. There were other people there. I forget the names there on the records. They were songwriters, and of course they'd give us an idea, and we'd take it on the road and make a song out of it. Of course, our names never got on it. They were smart. They were smart businessmen. And we always said, those songwriters and those guys, they can play good. Why don't they get in the band? Because they were too smart. They knew they were making way more money than we were by writing songs with names on it. They were smart. I should have done that. But anyway, so it was basically Doug Morris and another songwriter with him that gave some chords for us, and we took off with it. That's
Here's Are You a Boy or Are You a Girl?
Are you a boy? Are you a girl? With your long blonde hair, you look like a girl. Yeah, you look like a girl. You may be a boy, but you look like a girl.
took off with it. That's how Take It or Leave It was done that way too.
That was Take It or Leave It, the B-side of Are You a Boy or Are You a Girl?
Too. And you've got to, I'll Keep On Seeing You was done that way too. We got it from songwriters, Laurie songwriters.
Every place, every day, keep on seeing you. I keep on seeing you.
And yeah, we'd go and they'd start off with this, and we'd end up with that, And that's how we did it. That's how Boy Girl started.
Did the band tour the States?
All over Canada and the States many times, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sold a lot of records in Germany. We sold a lot of records everywhere. In Canada, we never went overseas in those days, And we did a lot of touring.
Then the song Moulty came out in 1966.
Yes,
Was the backing band, in fact, members of what would later become known as the band?
it was Bob Dylan's band,
Right.
which was later known as the band,
Right.
right? And the Elegants were the backup singers. I'm singing the lead, yeah.
Did you sing that powerful background vocal?
Oh no, I couldn't do that in those days.
Okay.
I can do it now. Want to hear me?
When it just breaks.
You know who that was? Doug Morris, my producer. You know who he is, right? He became the head of Universal Records. That's Doug Morris. He was only a young guy in his 20s. He was into it, though, with his group. We were his babies in Laurie Records. They were assigned to him, and he was a genius, a complete genius. He really was. I learned a lot about producing from him. He was quite a producer.
So you were upset that the song was released?
Well, we hit with Boy Girl. We left Joy Records because we didn't hit with that song, so our management agent switched it over to Laurie. We hit instantly, so, that was great. Then, so we immediately, the next song had to be, we got What the New Breed Say. It had some of the hook parts, that similar guitar parts like Boy Girl. That's what you did in those days, to try to hit again, And because the single hit, then the album came out, and now we needed another record. Maybe the second record was on the album too. And because the Stones and the Beatles were releasing things, we had to get something in there. You had to time it just right. So we had to get another hit. We got What the New Breed. I never liked the song, but they said it was going to hit big, and I thought it would hit big too. I thought it was going to be way bigger than Boy Girl. It didn't hit, didn't chart, almost didn't hit chart.
Here's What the New Breed Say.
Hey, hey, hey. That's what the new breed say.
That was What the New Breed Say, the second single from the Barbarians album, which peaked at number 102 on the Billboard chart.
No, we were disappointed, And we didn't have time. We had to rustle something up good. The British invasion was killing us. And so Doug Morris came into us, and the Schwartz brothers from Laurie Records, the owners, came in and said, "You guys, we got an idea. We're going to tell me what you think." And they let out the Moulty thing. I said, no way. No, too gimmicky, no. They said, "Look, you got a hit. It doesn't matter what happens after this. You get one more hit. It's all over for you guys. Everything's fine after that. Just you need one more charted hit. You had Boy Girl, then you and multi-hit, but not big. One more charted hit, even a mediocre hit, you guys will become much bigger all of a sudden." "Yeah, but I don't want to do that." He said, "Look, do me a favor. Try it. Come in the studio, try it. If you don't like it, we won't release it." I said, "Sure." So the other guys didn't go with me. I went down to the studio. I don't know if they went back to Boston or whatever they did, because I was just trying it. We weren't going to release it. So we went down there. They had Dylan's gang in there, and they had harp player came in.
Do you recall who the harp player was?
Yeah, he was an elderly gentleman with a briefcase and a suit that walked in the studio. We thought he was lost. And it was a kind of a podium there in front of the mic. He opened his briefcase up and took out a couple of harmonicas and laid down the tracks like he always did, and off he went. He was really good, so he probably did a lot of studio work, And the session was very good. It came out real good. But I said, "Look, if I'm going to do this thing, I'm not going to say those things you're telling me to say. I'll rewrite the words, at least, if I'm going to do that kind of thing, Okay, so I rephrased the words and stuff and did it, put my heart on the thing. And it was all done, and boy, the session was good and strong, powerful. I like that. So then I said, "No, I don't want to release it. I don't release it." "Oh, come on, you got it. You're going to be big." He's managed. You're great, don't worry. But I didn't believe it. So I didn't want to release it. Okay, because they promised. They said they wouldn't release it. Well, we're playing somewhere at some show, tour somewhere, playing somewhere. I don't know where we're, Florida, playing with thousands of kids, and all of a sudden we hear from the audience, "Play Moulty! Play Moulty!"
Wow.
We looked at each other, they released the song. The kind of words we use. They released that son of a... Now we got to learn it.
Yeah, wow.
We only played a few times. That was, anyway, they released it, and they were right, and we were wrong. It charted.
Yeah.
Okay, not I, but it charted. But we ended up fighting with the company and leaving the company over it, which was a very, very stupid mistake. We could have just gone in and got a mediocre hit next. We were online for another one, and we'd have, I would have more dollars than I have now.
It turned into one of those really quintessential garage band records, and the sound is just so great.
The sound is great.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I like the sound of it too. A lot of times after that song was released, and still happens today, kids would come up in the audience afterwards, or get us in the halls crying, and they would say things like, "Oh, thank you so much, Moulty. If it wasn't for that song, I wouldn't have made it to my senior year. I was going to commit suicide. If it wasn't for this, if it wasn't for that song, it did so much to a lot of people. That I wasn't ready for that. Not that I didn't accept it. I thought, wow, at least it did good, And it keeps happening till today. It calls all the time from people, and that song, when they heard that song, did something to them. Now, you probably know what it does to people better than I do. You're on the other end. It did a lot to a lot of people. Everybody, every kid, almost every, I can't say it's never 100%, all of us, boys and girls, men and women, we're all broken little people. We're all broken, weak little people inside, We can act tough on the outside, and especially if you're rich, you can act tough, but you're not really. We're all hurting little boys and girls. And especially someone had a little more hurt than the next one, or they thought there was a big hurt. Remember, a little hurt to someone is their big hurt. And someone's going through an awkward situation or something to overcome, a challenge, and that song hit them right in the heart. And I have these people, hanging on me, and it helped them a lot. So I never refuse anybody that calls about that song or anything. Yeah.
Here's Moulty.
Moulty!
That was Moulty, released in 1966, and it charted at number 90 on the Billboard charts. Did you hear about any of the other local bands that were playing around at the time?
When we left Provincetown and signed up with the record companies, our home port was New York City, not Boston.
Oh, okay, right.
Then after a while of touring, then we came back and our home port was Boston. So I didn't really know the Boston scene that much. But when we were in Boston and still touring, Peter Wolf and the guys used to hang around because they were in a band called the Hallucinations. They were good blues band. We liked them. They opened up for us a couple times here and there, you know. We liked those guys. They hung around with us because we were the big band in those days. Then after a while, Peter Wolf and Joe Bladd got involved with Jay Giles, and they became, you know, big as God, you know, which was great. You know, I love Peter Wolf. In 1990, Peter Wolf came out with a single, 45, Are You a Boy, Are You a Girl? And it's quite an honor. And I like the way he did it, because he's got this blues flavor to him, as we all know. He did it good. I like the way he did it. Yeah, I like the way he did it. Yeah, it's good. He does it good. Slight different flavor. We've got the pop feeling to it. We had to. If we did anything different, it wouldn't have charted. It had to have the pop feeling to it, you know. So I like his version, yeah. I like it a lot, yeah. He's cool. Oh, The Remains. I'm sorry to interrupt you. They'd opened up for us a couple times, too. We liked them, too. They never charted. I thought they should have. But The Remains, I liked them. Barry and, you know, became friends, and the band, we all became friends. And the Rockin' Ramrods, who were from Boston, never charted or anything, but they'd be the opening band at the Surf Nantasket. So I did meet a few bands in the Boston area, yeah.
Yeah, The Remains. I couldn't understand why they didn't get any bigger.
Well, I know why they didn't. A lot of people probably will disagree with me, but I don't care about that. In those days, if you opened up for someone else, you put yourself in a category. Oh, you're an opening band. You're down there, you know, and they'll look at the other band. It's different now. It really is. But The Remains opened up for several times for the Beatles. They thought that was great. I don't think it helped their career. For that reason, they opened up for the Beatles. They opened up. Now an opening band is no big. It's not that way anymore. But in '64 and '65, it definitely was. We didn't want to open up for anyone, and a lot of bands were like that. We didn't want to open up for someone else, not just because they were better than us, but it may not help us. It might keep us in that category. And I believe that happened to them. Because they got pictures of them with the Beatles, and they toured a couple, you know, they opened up for them. But that's what I believe.
They did a reunion show at the Arlington region a few years back.
Yeah, they came around again, right?
They were great.
They're all, yeah. Barry's always a ton of talent, that guy. You know, yeah. They're always good. The whole bunch of them were great. Yeah, I like those guys a lot. We had, you know, that was good when they were around in Boston with us. But I think that's why. I could be wrong. I've been wrong about many things, but I think I'm right here.
Do you remember when the Nuggets reissue started happening?
I remember when people called me and interviewed me, that's all.
Are you familiar with the rock and roll radio song by the Ramones that mentioned you?
I don't know too much about the song. I know about the Ramones and the whole thing, and they mentioned me, and yeah, I know that.
The Ramones were another one of those bands that seemed to get bigger after they broke up.
Right. Oh, yeah, they were good. There were a lot of bands like that. Yeah, there were a lot of bands like that. Yeah. I know of some bands that are great that you never heard of. There was a band in Canada called the Mod Rockers. Boy, were they good. They opened up for us. You know, we never ever heard of them. Boy, they were good, better than anybody, you know. But that's like that everywhere. Mm-hmm. And you got some idiotic people that chart, you know. Right. That's the name of the game. What are you going to do?
You met Barry Tashian of the Remains and jammed with him?
This is before there was the Remains and before there was the Barbarians. I met Barry at Boston University at Student Union Building, I believe. He'll probably say no, he's got it all cockeyed. It wasn't there, Moulty, what's the matter with you? But this is what I remember, okay? And he wanted to start something, and I had my drums, and I wanted to start something going too, and I jammed with him a couple times. We were playing a Beatles song, and he was trying to show me the beat he wanted, and I was hitting the drum, but then we didn't see each other anymore for some reason. And then all of a sudden, I had the Barbarians, and he had the Remains.
Did you ever do any shows with the Remains?
No, the Remains opened up for us, I think twice. They did once at a BC college, a BU, someplace. They opened up for us. And I think they opened up another time for us too. Yeah, we always liked them. They were always good. Vern, and, Chip, and a few of the other guys, you know, they're all good. Yeah.
When you toured, how long was your set?
In those days, it was different. Okay, nowadays they're playing it for 3.5 hours, you know. The shortest, sometimes we'd go in and play for a big audience, you know, for 20 minutes. You know what I mean? And we'd be closing the show. Maybe 25, you know. You just go, you know, the kids are going crazy. If we didn't play our instruments, all you had to do is walk out there, yell and holler until you're out there and you go home. They don't know. They love it, no matter what you do. So we'd go out there and just play, you know, give it all we got and go, you know.
Was there decent sound on the stage?
What sound? Of course we did. Sound? At the beginning, there were no sound companies, okay? You played through your own amplifiers, and you had an old a PA system, or the place would have a PA system for the vocals, and just run through the back line, the amplifier. You double them up and stuff, you know, because you blew up everything all the time. You needed power in those days with those kids screaming, and and all I did is it bang most of the time. At first, my drums weren't mic'd, so you just banged them as hard as you could, and you hope for the best. And that's the way everybody did. I think the Beatles did Chase Stadiums with the back line of amplifiers. Nobody could hear anything there. The kids screamed too much. And then the bigger equipment came out, and then sound companies came out. So finally, everything was mic'd, and so a guy up front could turn the knobs and still make you sound crappy. You know, they sound guys. Oh boy. God, oh yeah, but it's supposed to be like this. No, I want the bass drum louder. Yeah, but usually it's not. I don't care what it usually is. You know, you want to say, hey, come on, you do it. I'm the band. You know, do what we want. You know, hey.
What were some of the TV shows the band did?
Did Shindig, yeah. Did Hullabaloo. Did we did. The national Canadian one, Joey Reynolds, I think his name was up there, Joey Reynolds. And every city had their radio station and television station. And some of them were small, some of them were big. And whenever you'd go on tour, you'd go into the city and you'd go to the radio station that day, then the TV show, then you go to the Coliseum the next day or that night and do your show. So we did a lot of television that way. But the big one in those days was the Shindig show. That was the big show. That, you know, American Bandstand was already fading, even though it was still going, and the big show was the Shindig show in those days. We loved doing that. I think we were on it the same night with the Supremes or something, you know. So we loved the Supremes. I loved the Supremes.
The Tommy Dorsey Band opened for the Barbarians at Suffolk Downs?
Yeah, in those days, the music was changing. All kinds of things happened like that. We were on the way to Suffolk Downs to play. A guy coming there in a Cadillac. Here come the Barbarians, you know, down the ramp to go to the gig. And who's opening up for us? We always ask who's opening up for us. The Tommy Dorsey Band. We didn't think twice. Oh yeah, okay. It wasn't a big deal. That happened a lot in those days. And they had the Tommy Dorsey Band was playing, whatever that band music was, you know. We weren't interested in it. We were that stuff. And then when we went on, kids went nuts. You know, but that's what happened. That was a true story. Yeah, you knew that, huh? Tommy Dorsey Band. They probably went like this. Oh. They probably went, oh God. And that guy with the long end of hook. Oh, jeez. I can see them now. Tommy Dorsey was dead. It was his band.
In the U.S., the Barbarians had long hair before the Beatles came here?
Oh, yeah, way before. Well, you know, I always had long hair since I was a teenager. As soon as my mother stopped whacking me and not make me cut my hair anymore, because I didn't grow my hair for the music business. I lived in P-Town, okay? My idol on television was Johnny Weissmuller, Tarzan. Remember his beautiful hair? He had a big back. I wanted to be cool like Tarzan. So a couple of us guys in town grew hair like that. So when I started the Rumpus Room, I guess most people thought I had grew long hair because I was in the music business. I know, it's because of Tarzan. Johnny Weissmuller, the real Tarzan. There were many Tarzans that played that part. And they'd sign autographs, movie stars, and they'd sign their autographs, Lex Barker or whoever it was, But when Johnny Weissmuller signed his autograph, he signed it Tarzan. He's the real Tarzan. And I met Maureen O'Sullivan. We played when we first moved to New York and was signing up with the record companies. There was a big classic club called Ondines or Ondines. We played there, okay? And guess who came to see us? Maureen O'Sullivan with some man with her. I don't know if it was a husband or not. I didn't care. I loved her. I was always loved Maureen O'Sullivan. How can you not love Maureen O'Sullivan? And Moulty, guess who's here? Who? Maureen O'Sullivan. No. I got over Tarzan, and that's why there she is over there. Wow, it is her. Yeah, she was older then, obviously, but beautiful. That was her. Oh my God, that was Maureen O'Sullivan. That was great. And I met Gene Krupa too. He was my idol on the drums when I first learned to play the drums.
How did you meet Gene Krupa?
At the Metropolitan Times Square in New York, twice. Once when I was 17, and once after I was already in the band. He brought me up to his dressing room, asked me about my hook, how the stick goes in there, how do you do it, hey, sign me an autographed picture, I've got it home. Best wishes to a fellow drummer, Gene Krupa. Oh, I was like, that's the only person I was ever, wow. Johnny Weissmuller, I liked the cool style and stuff, but someone in the music business I was in awe about was Gene Krupa. I was a kid. Gene Krupa, wow, he was the first guy to, it was a phrase that used in those days for Gene Krupa. He was the first drummer. I was really in awe of him, and although many people I loved in the business, I was really loved them, he's the only one that did that to me. There was no one else, and I met a lot of big people, and but they didn't do that to me. I was totally impressed by them and loved them, but I had that, I was a fan thing with him. You know what I mean? And I never forgot that, because he was known as the guy that brought the drums from behind the curtain. Before that, the drum, play with brushes, shh, quiet, He was the guy it was his band. He was a featured drummer. And he did the drum solos and brought that all out. And then the other drummers followed suit, Buddy Rich and all the other guys. True story.
After the band left Laurie Records, you moved to another label and recorded a bunch of demos there?
Yeah, we recorded a bunch of songs over there. Yeah, went very well. It was our new stuff. Every band, a few months you go to a bigger stage. Oh, we've got better stuff now, Just like every time a Beatles album came out, oh, look what they're into now. Wow, way up there, Maybe sometimes, you know what I mean? Maybe. But anyway, generally. Yeah, so we had a nice session going, but our lawyer couldn't get us off of Laurie Records. We tried and tried. I guess they wanted too much money. I don't know. Well, I know what they did. They figured these guys are going to puddle around, and we're good and sick and tired of not having a record company and not selling records, and their price starts dropping on the concerts. They'll come back home, We were too stupid to do that, too prideful, so we eventually broke up.
What year was the breakup?
67? I think so. 64, 5, 6, yeah, 4, yeah, 67.
Were you in any bands after that?
Well, I got together with what I call the Barbarians now. A few years ago, we did the South Shore Music Circus and the Melody Tent, and a few things. We've done. I do every once in a while. I'll go on. I have a feeling I'll do it again now, and play somewhere and have fun. The old people come out of the woodwork, and then the new people like us too. Because we're still playing a heavy '60 rock flavor. Our live sound wasn't like the '64 sound, a very light sound. Even the beginning of '65, even our first album was very light sound, and everything changed to heavy sound, as you know, in the recording industry. So we play a heavy brand of music, so we can please the young crowd too, even today, believe it, even though we're older, And so I do that. I visit the recording studio a lot and play my drums and do things. And my son's very active in music, and he's my lead guitar player when I play. I'm very fussy about guitar players because most people don't realize how good my guitar player was in the Barbarians, Jeffrey Morris. He was a tremendous guitarist. You know, he took after people like Chet Atkins and the big guitar players, and he could play that stuff in his sleep. He was a real guitar player, and we were amazed by him at all times, and I still am. And he continues to get better. And so I was kind of spoiled. So when we broke up, it wasn't easy for me to get somebody together, because every time I tried a guitar player, I'd go, oh no, this guy came all recommended. I said, oh no, I was spoiled. You know, this guy could really do it. He could really do it. You can't tell really on our old stuff, but you can on, if you listen to him closely, you know, you can really go. So.
Here's Linguiça. That was Linguiça, a showcase for the Barbarians guitarist Jeffrey Morris. Did you get to play with Teddy and the Banders? What'd you think of them?
Yes, we did. Yes, Teddy and the Pandas. I don't remember a lot about them, but I remember most of the bands we played with, we liked. Some of them were good, but a lot of them we liked, and some we thought were terrible, like everybody does, you know. They probably thought we were terrible. Everyone probably thought we were terrible. I don't know, but that's the way I felt. You know. No one thought our guitar player was terrible. I throw that in there. So my son takes the place of that guitar player, and he can kick ass on the guitar. That's a commercial.
You got to play with Van Morrison?
Van Morrison. Oh, I love Van Morrison. Oh, he was always tremendous. And I learned a lot from Van Morrison, even though he was young too. He was with them, of course, and then he broke up, and then he was trying to start his new band in the same area we used to do, a rehearsal hall we had down in Boston, you know.
He lived in Cambridge for a while.
Yeah. So he was, he had already hit with a Brown-Eyed Girl, and he was big already, but he broke up, and he was trying to get a band together. They were going to do that Domino album, remember? So I jammed there with him, and he said, yeah, you want to do it? Yeah, you be the drummer, and because he was trying different guitar players out and stuff, drummers. I was thinking maybe I will, but I wanted to get the Barbarian thing going again, you know. So I said basically, no, you know, I'm going to try to get my thing going, you know. But you know, he got a band together, and he hit big with the Domino album. Now the problem is, and if I'm wrong, but I'm sure even the players will agree with me, they all became junkies and alcoholics, okay? If that's a rumor, it's a rumor, but that's what I understand and what I saw. And it's a good thing I didn't. You never know how you're swayed when you're young. You never know. I never really got into drugs. I smoked a lot of pot, but that was it. You know, basically, you know, somebody gave me some LSD, and I thought, but anyway, I was smoked pot. But this other drug stuff, didn't want that. When the drug culture came in at the end of '65, the hippie drug culture, I wasn't in that, really. I grew up in Provincetown. I was a hippie before the word was known. I was a bohemian before it was known. I was like that before it was known, okay? I didn't fit in there. I was a rock and roller, and I had long hair, but I really didn't fit in there for some reason. And then the drug thing, I didn't, you know, like some people I knew in the business really getting into the drugs. I didn't want to go in that direction. So back to Van Morrison, he was very good. He knew how to run a band. He really knew how to run a band and get things going, get the music he wanted. He knew how to do that. He was very talented. And as we know, Van Morrison is very talented until today. He's really into blues now. But of course, in my era when I loved his pop blues. I loved his songs then, you know, more than the heavy blues he's in now, you know. But he's fantastic no matter what he does.
You later produced some bands. Anyone of note?
Produced band? No, nobody that hit. No, nobody that really hit. There's a lot of bands I worked with in the studio and helped out in the studio. One band that was very good from the Cape. You know, the name of the band was the Cat's Ass. Okay, is this X-rated now or something? This movie? Okay, because you know, I could have made them big, but they wouldn't change their name. And in those days, you couldn't name your band the Cat's Ass. Now you can. Yeah. If you don't throw some four-letter words in with it, you probably won't hit today. Okay, but I'm exaggerating, but you can understand what I'm saying. But I kept telling, look, these guys, a couple of companies I went to, I wanted to make money off them, be their producer. I'd make more money myself than each one of them would, okay? I was learning from Doug Morris. And so I said, look, they say you got to change your name. Oh, yeah, we like that name. We thought of I said, look, only your cousins, your sisters, and a few people that go and see you play in the dive you played in. This is the time to change your name. Nobody gives a damn. Nobody knows you. No, we want to keep that name. Well, I ended up dumping them. They were very good. They would have made it. They would have made it just as big as anybody else. They were very good saxophone player, good saxophone player. I used him on one of my sessions. I'll play it for you tonight. He was really a good sax player, real jamming. He had a flavor that was really good. And the front singer in the band, all kinds of talent. He's just a cool rock and roll guy. They all were good. The drummer, Steve Brazes, Ron Barabee, the bass player, and Charlie Carey, the other guitar player. They were a good rock and roll band. They just didn't want to go in that direction. I think they all like to puff too much weed all the time, you know. I wasn't into that either. If I wants to puff weed, go ahead. But stop making that 100% of what your life is about, you know. When you're trying to, this is a business we're trying to get into, you know. So that was the story of them, and I'm still very good friends with them. Two of them are dead now. But I was with Steve Brazes, the drummer, today. I had lunch with him today. I see him quite often. And every few years I see Chuck Carey and some of the other guys. But anyway, that was the story with that band, and I thought they were going to hit. If they don't change their name, what's the name? Look at the name, The Beatles. The Beatles. No, to us, it's a great name. Because it's the Beatles, right. Not because it's a great name. Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Sort of like the name Nirvana.
Nirvana, what's that? Yeah, what does that mean? You're going to go climb the hill in Tibet, you know?
You were the first New England band to break out after the Beatles got big?
Let me think. Yes. And then a few years later, the Jay Giles broke out of New England band and Aerosmith. And they had a song called Dude Like a Lady, what is it? Dude Looks Like a Lady, yeah, whatever. Well, anyway, we came out with Boy Girl a few years before that. So they were Boston, they're basically out of Boston. I mean, I think Steve is from New York or something, but they live around here too.
They live on the South Shore.
Yeah, they're another good band, but they're better than ever now. And Jay Giles' band, who else was from this area? No, we were the big guys then. Peter Wolf used to hang out with us, you know, and with the Hallucinations there. I loved the Hallucinations. They were great. And Peter Wolf was always great. Like I said before, if you're great, you were always great. If you're 4 years old, you're great. You know, that's what I say. You can't make an orange out of an apple. You can take all the music lessons you want, which I recommend anyway. But, you know, an artist or an actor, a musician, or whatever art you're into, painter, you got to have that inside you. You can't make that. You can't make that.
Some people you can shape a little bit, but if it's not there, it does show.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you look at the greats, even in the movie business. You know, some of them are just, they've got it, and some don't really. You know, and some try to be like that. You can't try to be like that. It's impossible. You're what you are. You might as well be what you are. And then if you do have something, it'll come out. It'll come out. I actually have a couple of songs here tonight. I have a couple of songs here that I'll play for you guys.
All I wanna do is be a rock and roll man. I wanna play music all night if I can. I don't like work or school, but I live by the golden rule. Friday night comes and here's our plan. The sax player's here with the guitar and he jams. They call my feet away to go. So I hit that old piano and I hear we go. My girl won't approve. She just wants to say well, she's my dream boat. Oh yes indeed. She's got the kind of love I need. Well, I got a woman way across town. She's good to me. Oh yeah.
What are the other members of the band doing now?
What are the other people doing now? Well, first of all, back in the after the Barbarians broke up, they went off with a band called the Black Pearl. It was a soul psychedelic band. with a soul singer up front and stuff, and I didn't want to go in that direction. You know, I wanted to get the Barbarians to go again. We were between record contracts. We were without a company. I wanted to do the Barbarian thing again. They didn't. Okay, I don't blame them. They wanted to make money, and I wanted to go in the other direction, go back to Laurie Records. So we conflicted a lot, and you know, they wanted to go in that direction, and I didn't. Simple as that, you know. And when I look back, I don't blame them. That's what they wanted to do. I wasn't into. I was into watching James Brown a few, but not watching, not becoming a soul band, a psychedelic soul band, you know. And it wasn't what I was interested in. I didn't want to go at all. So now what they're doing is Jerry, the bass player, who used to sing most of the lead for us. Yeah, I'm in contact with him all the time. He's with some band. He's always playing in some band, doing something out in Idaho, I think it is. Yeah. And Jeffrey Morris, he comes to the Cape every so often, every few years, and I see him when he comes. He's always playing some kind of guitar. He never stops playing. Bruce Benson, he's a builder out of Plymouth, but he always has a guitar going somehow. And we're always doing things in the music industry, and not necessarily the business, but in music. And my first guy I replaced with the original Barbarians was Ronnie Enos. I replaced him with Jeffrey Morris, my guitar player, almost right away, just after the Tammy show. Ronnie Enos was in the Tammy show, and I replaced him and Ronnie wanted to go his own way, and we parted ways. And Ronnie died just a month ago. I kept in touch with him all this time, yeah. So he's gone. So a lot of people go as we get older, you know, obviously. And so the guys are all, they're all musicians. They're all, you know, Jerry was a tremendous bass player. He played, they didn't just play rock and roll, those guys, you know. They were good, you know. Me and Bruce started playing rock and roll. When I was a young guy playing guitar, I played a lot of folk music, you know, what was going on in the days. My guitar, and learned all them chords and stuff. And then I also was involved in the steel bands from the Virgin Islands that would come up to the Cape and the edge of Provincetown and this big nightclub, and they'd be doing that, and I'd hang around with them and learn their stuff. What music I got from them. They could speak my language. It was supposed to be English, but it wasn't my English. I didn't know what they were talking about. But they were full of music. Oh, it was great. I loved those steel bands, the real old-fashioned steel bands. And then the Barbarians.
Thanks for being on the Boston Beat for us today, Moulty. Thanks for listening to Rat Tales, Boston Rock Stories. Rat Tales is produced and directed by Lenny, Scolletta, and Mike Hoban, with a huge thanks to Medford Community Media in beautiful downtown Medford, Massachusetts.